Pogo's big.
Sometimes I think about myself. I wish I was somewhere else, far from my
He's gonna do it again.
Far from my weakness. I could be gone.
Sorry.
But I'm just
Milo's choked.
I refuse to fix the problem, and I think I can carry on. You can lie, you can try, but you'd like to leave this feeling. We got to breathe, to dig, to leave the life we are dreaming. It could go wrong, but I'm just a nest. You must be lonely, but you could be crazy if you keep looking down. Don't you cry no more, no more. Tears is in mine.
Turd. So this is a lovely stallion that I recently started to work with. He got a really good intro to the saddle and some of the basics for saddle training, like being sat on and walked around on, last summer by a trainer who did an excellent job with him. And then he didn't do much for the last year until now, and I'm just getting him ready to fully start under saddle so that we can start taking him for hacks and doing more exercise to help with his weight loss. So what I've done to restart him has been quicker than what I would do with a horse who didn't have such a great start and wasn't as quiet as he is. But this is just the first day showing how I initially get on them. With a horse who was less experienced than him or more nervous, I wouldn't get on as quickly. Even with this, there's a few clips where I was practicing bellying over and just leaning on his back before I got all of the way on. But this is a good example of how I do that, just to try to make it as low stress as possible. So after that first clip, I got off again, and then I just get right back on again. And I get on and off a couple of times because I think the mounting block is one of the more important aspects of riding, and I do think it's quite underrated for having horses stand well at the mounting block, just for safety purposes, and it also gives you a good read of how they're feeling. So now I'm just turning him away from the mounting block, and then I clicked and rewarded when he responded to the turning away. I've also already taught a lot of the rein aids from the ground by using a target first initially and then clicking and rewarding once he started to get it, just off of the pressure of turning, like what I'm doing here. And this is how I practiced with steering aids to kind of teach him how to steer from the ground first before I get on him. I think all horses should steer and have brakes before you're actually sitting on them, otherwise it's not safe. So this is how I do that, and it's a different way of doing it than ground driving completely because it's more of a direct action, and it's easier if you don't have all the equipment to ground drive with, but ground driving is also really good. And then this is just a clip where I'm practicing some target training with him and using the vocal cue for trot to get him to pick up a trot, because he was lacking some motivation before, and I wanted to help increase motivation and get a quicker jump up to that trot so that he'd be more ready to offer it, so that when we start doing stuff under saddle, it's very clear, and then I can link that vocal cue to my leg aid and have it become a tactile cue. The conditioning with the target stick. Nice lead change. Oh my god. Jeez.
They do have fun together, eh?
Yeah.
What was that?
They kick out at each other like that, but they like do it in a way where they're definitely never actually trying to connect. It's like all a game.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, I think they like it in here because the footing's more fun.
And I wish me the best, but I just think I'm missing a voice and skills, I must confess. I'm speaking in English, but I'm just French. I would like to speak better, add a better fine rhyme to my letter on time, like a watchmaker. You can lie, you can try, but you'd like to leave this feeling. We got to breathe, to dig, to leave the life we are dreaming. It could go wrong, but I'm just a nest. You must be lonely, but you could be crazy if you keep looking down.
So I've been using the target stick with Compañero pretty frequently to increase his motivation under saddle and to get a really good trot from a vocal cue so that I can help get him to be more motivated under saddle, since he's quite disinterested in lunging and didn't particularly like it, and he's not a very spooky horse, so for the amount of pressure you have to add to really get him to put his all into lunging, it just wasn't worth it. So I have been using positive reinforcement to motivate him with an external motivator that he is seeking rather than looking to move away from, like what we do with traditional pressure and release. And it's been working very well with getting him to pick up the trot from a vocal cue and have more motivation to move out and forward. I've also noticed he's way more motivated to work with me and like beside me or running alongside of me rather than going in a circle around me. So he finds it more fun, and I like doing this to change things up because I do find a lot of horses find lunging to be very, very boring. So I like to keep things more interesting for them and to keep them engaged and to help training be a little bit more fun and easier for them, but while still doing it within the parameters of what the horse needs. And since Compañero needs to lose weight, movement is necessary, so getting him to offer that movement freely and willingly has been great, and it's increased his motivation and his desire to work with me as well. And for treats with him, I've been using teff hay pellets because they are the lowest in sugar and therefore the lowest fat for a fellow like himself. They don't add a ton of weight, so I recommend teff hay if you're looking for a low sugar treat. That's not alfalfa pellets, because alfalfa pellets are higher in protein and sugar than teff hay pellets are. So I recommend checking out teff. The reason why I've been emphasizing target training so much when I'm starting horses is because you can truly teach so many different skills to them using the target, and it helps make a lot of tactile cues that are traditional pressure and release cues a lot more clear to the horse. So you can teach cues that look identical to pressure and release cues, but have the external motivator be the reward rather than the pressure. And I really like this because for horses who aren't particularly opposed to pressure or don't find it particularly aversive, you have to get a lot louder with pressure than what I would personally like for myself to get a response with them typically. So I find that adding in an external reward to motivate them really helps get that forward movement and a lot of the behaviors that we like to see in traditional pressure and release programs without getting quite as loud. So that's why I've been using the target, and I've also found that even with horses who do respond really well to pressure and release, that the target makes it a lot more clear when you're teaching them steering aids. So it makes it less anxiety inducing because it's way clearer. So they start to learn just to turn to follow the target, but then you're linking that cue to a rein aid, and it makes it way more clear to them when they're learning all of these new things, and also gives them more incentive to want to do the right thing because they're actually seeking a reward rather than just moving off of pressure and avoiding pressure. So this is why I've adapted it into how I start horses under saddle so much, because I didn't used to use this much clicker training and positive reinforcement, but now that I've seen how well it works and how much quicker horses can learn with less frustration and less potentially dangerous behaviors, it's something that I really like using, and I was super excited about the opportunity to start using that with a stallion, because stallions have quite the stereotype behind their gender, and it controls how a lot of people treat their stallions. So I was really excited to have the opportunity to use these methods with a stallion and show that you can use positive reinforcement with all sorts of different types of horses and have really, really amazing results so long as it's done properly. And it's been really fun to work with all these different types of horses and see how they all respond to it. But yeah, I like using the target because it encourages forward movement, and I find that using the target under saddle when you're starting horses under saddle, it basically completely removes the potential for them to be scared and jumping forward when you put on that pressure with your leg to try to get them to go forward or have someone coming behind them with a whip, because then they feel like they're getting more chased and more trapped rather than being encouraged to go forward. So using the target allows the horse to make that decision for themselves, and you can put your leg on to link that decision to the leg cue, but the horse is the one making the decision, so it typically makes them feel less stressed, and it can help people avoid a lot of the blow-ups that you see on first rides when people start horses and don't work on the relaxation to the degree that they should before getting on. So these clips are from Companero's first time trotting under saddle, and as you can see, he's quite relaxed and being very responsive. So I was really pleased with his response to the target and how well he handled being sat on and trotted around for the first time. He has been sat on, as I said. He was started very nicely, then introduced to the saddle and all those basics by a trainer who did an excellent job. But the trotting and whatnot is going to be new to him, and then once we eventually start hacking him, it's going to be new to him as well. So I was really happy with how he responded because he was an A+ model student this day. I was very, very happy. Oh my goodness. He's like, why do you have a slingity sling? Aww. He likes your beard. Ah! Do you want me to get you a chair? He likes it. You one-handed arm.
Hey.
He's like, give me your strong bow.
Stop. Stop it.
Okay, so now as an update for my horses, Pogo has been chilling because my mom's been busy with the end of the year school stuff. So he'll be coming back into work soon over the summer, and I'm going to be trying to work with him more. I'm also going to be trying to work with Pistachio a lot more because he's kind of got put on the sidelines due to my lack of time. Banksy, I've been doing groundwork with as much as I can, but he's honestly not a main priority because I'm not really in any rush to get him started under saddle and start doing a lot with him. So he's been sitting quite a lot and just chilling out, and he's going to be going to get turned out on pasture for a lot of the summer as well. But I'm really happy with how he's doing in his groundwork training and how he's developing physically. I think he looks really great, and all the stuff we do on the ground is to prepare him for being started under saddle eventually. Pistachio has been sat on and walked around once, and he's really tame now and really likes people, so he should come along really nice and easily. He's just been sidetracked because of my lack of time. It's absolutely nothing to do with him. He's awesome. So he's just been hanging out. And now Milo's not in these immediate clips, but he did have his MRI on June 6th, and it was best case scenario. There was not any significant damage to any internal structures, which was a huge surprise to both me and my vet, and best case scenario for what the results could have been. So I'm really happy. Basically, his diagnosis is that he has deep bone bruising from chronically bad angles and sore feet. He will be getting shoes back on just to help him out until the bruising subsides, and then we're going to reevaluate how he's doing with his feet because his soles are way thicker than what they were starting out. So we'll see how that goes. And then he does still need the arthroscopy to look at what's going on internally in his stifle. So that will be the next move. But since it's such a huge expense, it's not something that I was able to do immediately following his MRI. So we're still working on that, and that'll be done as soon as I can get it done. He's comfortable, he's stable, he's doing well, and I'm hopeful that the arthroscopy will be something that's less problematic than what the hoof potentially could have been. So I'm less worried about that than I was for the MRI. But hopefully that goes well, and I'll keep everyone updated with that. But right now he's just kind of resting and hanging out and being Milo until we get the rest of this sorted out and make sure he's comfortable. And at that point, I'll start him back into work, but he needs to be comfortable and cleared by the vet first. Pretty good news, but we're still kind of just waiting to see what the rest is going to be. So I'm still doing the sale, 10% off of all my merch and all my milestone products on amorequestrian.ca with code Milo at checkout if you want to check that out. Or if you want to check out my Patreon to subscribe, that is all linked down in the description below. Thanks guys for your support with Milo. Banksy just turned 3 on May 28th, so he is almost a grown man now. Really exciting. It's been a while. I can't believe that I've had him this long and that time has flown by so quickly. I don't have any plans to start him under saddle in the immediate future. We've been practicing stuff like this from the ground where we're learning skills that are specific to riding horse skills, like standing at the mounting block and having me lean over him and just handle him from above like this. So I do work on stuff on the ground with him that prepares him for eventually being started under saddle, but as I said, he's not on my main priority list to get into work because he is still growing a lot and he doesn't really need to be in a full work program, nor does his training necessarily need to mean that I'm sitting on him. And even when I do start him under saddle, it's going to be a slower start. He's not necessarily going to be getting ridden all the time or consistently. It's going to just happen when it happens, and we're going to take it pretty easy because he has a lot of years to be a riding horse and there's no need for me to rush that. So we're practicing stuff like this, and all this stuff does prepare him to be ridden eventually, and it's teaching him skills that are very important as a riding horse. So while it may just look like I'm grooming him where we're just playing around, it does actually serve a real purpose, and it's going to prepare him for the skills that I'll need once I do want to start him under saddle. And that will happen when it happens, and I'll share about it on here when it does. But for now, he's just chilling and getting to be a baby and enjoy himself. Part of this life update is that I have released some really nice riding shirts for the summer. This is the Lisa laser cut short sleeve. It's lovely for showing or schooling in. And then I also have this lace shirt, which is the Rose short sleeve show shirt. And again, you can use it for schooling or showing. They're super comfortable. They're sweat wicking. They're breathable, and they're perfect for summertime. And I've tried to price them affordably so that they can be something that people can add to their wardrobe more affordably than a lot of other equestrian brands price them at. I also have some samples still left from my first line of base layers, and those are priced extremely low because they're samples and we're just selling them basically at cost. And yeah, I also have some new base layer color releases, and there's a bridal restocking coming on June 30th as well. So keep an eye out for that and check all that out at the links down below in the description.